Hey, everybody. As recruiters, we all know that hiring can be one of the most challenging parts of running a business. Whether you're a startup looking to build a dream team or a well established company aiming to streamline your recruitment process, the right tools make all the difference. TeamTailor is powerful all in one recruitment software your candidates and team will love. It's not just a piece of software, it's a way of working. With TeamTailor, you get everything you need in one place: powerful analytics, an AI assistant, customizable workflows, powerful integrations, and more. Plus, TeamTailor is easy to use and implement. You can onboard hiring managers with minimal training and get started right away thanks to an easy implementation and an intuitive, user-friendly interface. 94% of users report better team collaboration, and 97% see an increase in qualified candidates. 89% of customers say their hiring process is faster. And if you're focused on the candidate experience, TeamTailor's candidate experience is at the heart of the ATS. Just ask any of the 4 million candidates who connect with customers every month. Join the ranks of over 125,000 recruiters and more than 8,500 companies like Oatly, Porsche, OneFlow, and Solo Stove, who have transformed their recruitment with TeamTailor. Discover the new way to attract and hire top talent and see the results for yourself. Hi, and welcome to Revel TA, where we talk with people and talent leaders in startups. Our mission is to empower the candidate-employer relationship in the future of work. You're tuned in with Natalie Stones. Natalie is the founder of the Talent Collective, a community empowering women in recruiting, as well as the Talent Refinery, a fractional people ops and recruiting consultancy. Natalie, it's great to have you.
Thank you, Brandon. It's fun to finally be on this pod.
Yeah, I'm really stoked.
This is like months in the works.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining. Where are you based and what are you working on?
I am in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, and I am all day, every day working on Talent Collective, the community, and launching, and trying to bring it to a city near you.
It's so awesome. I think I mentioned the last time we spoke that maybe it's due to the algorithm, but everywhere I look, it's the Talent Collective. And maybe that's a reflection of our community of recruiters. Maybe it's the algorithm at work, but it's also a testament to you as a founder. So hats off.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll take a little bit of credit, but that algorithm works really well. Sometimes.
I think one of the reasons why I'm energized by this conversation and the idea of talent and community really making an impact for recruiters is a result of the economy and what our workflows as recruiters looked like in the last few years. In my experience, in maybe the last 18 to 24 months, the hiring slowdown has allowed more time to network and build intentional relationships with people. I know in the venture startup space, 2019, 2020, we had a little breather in COVID, but then it was pedal to the floor again, nose to the grindstone, massive rec loads. People didn't have time to network. And with COVID and the pandemic, we weren't going to conferences. So I'm certainly excited to see more of the work you're doing impact our recruiting community.
Thank you. Yeah, you touched on precisely some of the exact reasons why we started the community. So I'd love to expand more when we get there.
Yeah, well, tell us. I'd love to hear maybe what was the inspiration and what was your experience growing it? What did it look like on a whiteboard and how has it grown to date?
Well, we primarily sought out to do this kind of as a beta test here in the Bay Area, primarily to fill a void for ourselves, myself and my co-founders, to create something that we couldn't find for ourselves. So myself in particular, I love networking events. I love conferences. Krista, she loves professional development and mentoring people. Tammy is really well networked with a lot of companies in her embedded work that she does. And so we just couldn't find the right intersectionality of being able to do all of those things with recruiters here in the Bay Area. So we wanted to meet with recruiters monthly at happy hours or co-work together or go to a conference that wasn't, a have to go to Seattle or I have to go to Vegas or so on and so forth. And so we decided just to build it for what we wanted. We originally sought out to have one networking event a month, literally one workshop a month. Now I'm laughing thinking back. And to launch one boardroom group, which is a peer group for 8 to 10 women in TA. So fast forward into month 2, 3, it exploded into very quickly launching in multiple cities because there were women that reached out to us expressing interest in, well, I'm loving the virtual workshops that you're doing, but we also want that in-person connection that we see on LinkedIn that you guys are having so much fun in the Bay Area. How do we get that here? So we just followed the organic interest of our members and prospective members. And so fast forward, we're now in 8 cities. We'll be in 10 by the end of June. And really supporting women in these local areas with the in-person opportunities. So at any given month, we have 4 to 6 in-person events going on across the US, well, and now Toronto. And we have 4 to 6 workshops or virtual fireside or a webinar with our partners. And we now have 12 boardroom groups running, and we launched a mentorship program. So in our first 10 months, we have just give the ladies what they want. And so it's a lot more than what we sought out to do, but it has been a fantastic journey.
Natalie, this is incredible. To see that type of flywheel growth, hockey stick growth, whatever SaaS term you want to apply to it, at the end of the day, it is growth and it is responding to the market and giving people what they want. And that, I think, is connection. It's something that we all crave. We are more connected than ever. There is tons of research and thought leadership on loneliness and how even the Surgeon General of the US was talking about loneliness being one of the biggest risks to human health. To see you create an actual solution that is also preventative for that is truly inspiring. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for giving me this platform to be able to share it with, the larger masses of women in TA.
You mentioned a few different cities. At the end and in the show notes, I'll make sure that we have all of the links for anybody who's listening who wants to get involved and how they can sign up. But walk me through that workflow right now. Like, what does it look like to get signed up, to get involved? Is there a screening process? Do you have to interview? And then maybe what did it look like? What did you learn from that? How has it evolved? What tools are you using as a founder? Like, maybe we smash the fourth wall.
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, we had it as an exclusive community and you needed to apply and we would interview everyone. Within the first 2 weeks, we said, this is wild. Why would we do this? There's too much interest. We can get more clear on our ideal recruiter profile and create an opportunity for people to self-select in and self-select out if they don't meet this definition. And so by definition, we support women or those who identify in talent acquisition or people operations as long as you still are owning the recruiting function. Otherwise, our content will be boring or irrelevant or just kind of nuanced for you. What we are trying to be is a hyper niche content engine and community that geeks out on recruiting things that you cannot find most anywhere else, right? You could go to a SHRM conference or any other communities that are for HR people ops, and they may just like skim the surface a little bit on TA. But our conversations are, how to think through comp bands when you're leveling different positions, how to speak and offer and educate your candidates on equity. So things that are very, very specific that most recruiters will understand, but the general masses of people may not, because they're not living in that role of a full cycle recruiter. So back to your original question, we decided to just open it up and let people self-select in. And it has worked phenomenally for us. We are a little over 350 members globally now. And there has only been, I can't even think of a handful of people that didn't meet the criteria that we had to turn away. Otherwise, everybody found the community to be precisely what they needed, and they matched the people we were looking to support. You asked about tools. Tools, let's see, what are we using? I mean, LinkedIn. We just live on LinkedIn, hence you see us blowing up your feed all the time. But we are a circle community, so we do use that as our member platform. That's primarily our biggest tool. I mean, outside of the different tools to run the business, but for the purposes of our members, they can find all of our public events on our Luma events page. They can also find all of our articles and blogs on Substack. I actually just transitioned us from the LinkedIn article to Substack this past weekend. So you can find all of our content there, and our partner blogs. We co-write features with a lot of our partners. They're all typically recruiting technology or HR tech. And then Circle is the platform where you have a Slack-like experience for the different city channels. You can see what's going on in those local areas. You can then, level up and get access to all the virtuals. You can level up, get access to all of that plus in person. You can level up, be in the director level, so on and so forth. So that is how we're running the community. And yeah.
Natalie, that's great. Who is a good profile for joining the platform? If somebody's listening, they want to join, they're mainly focused on recruiting, like you said, but do you look at specific levels or titles or industries?
We are relatively agnostic across all of that, but how I will answer your question is we find that our women in recruiting are falling into one of three buckets. One is your global TA leader, heads of talent, directors, VPs, frontline recruiting leaders, or your kind of C-suite strategic level. The next is your IC group, so your agency recruiters, corporate recruiters, rec ops, or people ops specialist. And the last is your agency founders, fractional recruiters, solopreneur recruiters, or embedded kind of RPO recruiting firms. So your outsourced function. And with that, we didn't exclusively set that up that you must meet one of these three criteria. We just knew that in our experience being in recruiting, those are all the three intersectionalities that we've either had our career in or that we have liaised with. And so we wanted to attract those three verticals so that the content that we offer could be relevant, not just for corporate recruiting functions, but also for agency recruiting. We find that both are very equal functions within recruiting, but we didn't want one to outweigh the other. We wanted to be able to provide content for any level of recruiter, across any vertical, across any sort of function.
That's awesome. I think one of the cool pieces of recruiting that I enjoy is how vast hiring is and how there's no one size fits all solution for recruiting. It's a little bit of a choose your own adventure. There's no recruiting jail. And when I spend time with folks outside of the little echo chamber that can be like tech startups, I'm always learning something new. And it's really cool to see and hear from the problems that somebody in manufacturing or industrial or like retail approaches problems. I think one of the fascinating problem sets that a lot of tech recruiters are solving right now is overwhelming inbound applications on jobs. You mentioned spending a lot of time on LinkedIn when you see somebody post a role and all of a sudden in 3 hours, it's 500 comments, people tagging folks in. I think that's one of the benefits of community and that flywheel but it actually puts a huge strain on the workflows and the systems. So I could imagine being plugged in with a cohort of other peers that are solving that similar problem or may know the technical solution, whether they're using an ATS or a CRM to manage that workflow. Because going 0 to 1 on that problem set for a lot of people is unprecedented in their career. I know in my experience, I'm typically placing candidates that I source, and I haven't really relied on inbound applications ever.
Right. I don't know if you've been like on my computer or checking my emails, but that is precisely the topic of our next community launch in Austin in 2 weeks is how recruiters can work through the noise, right? I mean, it's a good problem to have, a lot of candidates, but like it's in this market a sad problem to have because the reality is there's just so many unemployed people. But at the end of the day, the recruiters, and so many of them are sitting solo in a seat or in a department, how do they work through the distractions of the candidates that are not qualified to actually find the top talent and fill that role effectively, efficiently, and in a timely manner? And so the panel is going to consist of an agency recruiter, a corporate recruiter, a recruiting partner that RecruitBot is our partner. It's an AI sourcing platform, and then somewhat a customer of theirs. And so really trying to talk about how do you leverage technology, specifically AI, to help support you in that function. But these are examples of topics that we address within the community is, I'm having this challenge. Are you guys using a specific tool, or is there any sort of workarounds? We have a sourcing channel. I am having a hard time finding this candidate. Can anyone give me some Boolean tips or a good tool to use or a good site? So it's also a working community, so to speak. It's not just meant to, here's all the events and here's, these templates and white papers. It's actually, hey, can you pop into this channel and kind of work on a search or help me identify candidates. So I love that you mentioned that because it's on point with our next launch.
What is the date of that event in Austin?
May 16th.
May 16th. Okay. I have a couple of folks, actually I was speaking to somebody yesterday who's relocating to Austin, looking to get plugged in.
Yes.
So mark your calendars, Fantastic. Everybody. Austin is blowing up with the Talent Collective. What are some of the other cities? I keep seeing your events. I saw you were in New York. Saw Shannon from Ashby is going to be hosting an event. How do you think about selecting partners, cities, chapters, and what's next on your radar?
So early on, we decided to only launch a new local community if someone came to us expressing interest in leading the community. We wanted to make sure that they were fully invested, excited, and carried our mission and vision to lead it. So we did not expect that 16 different women would approach us for these various cities. And we didn't want to disappoint, and we might as well get these cities up and running. And then next year, like this would be our launch year, like our scale up year. And next year can really be quality versus quantity. Well, even the second half of the year, that's really our goal. And so that's how we decide on a city. So if there's any women in recruiting out there that would like a talent collective in your local area, feel free to DM me on LinkedIn. We're always open to having conversations. But the next couple that we have are Austin, and then Chicago is in June. And then we're kind of on pause and we'll see what will come. But in terms of how we pick our partners, we have found the best partners are recruiting tech, HR tech, or some sort of professional services, naturally, because they really support the functionality of our discipline. But the reason we hyper focus on recruiting technology is because we naturally want to bring more of that information about upcoming innovation and tools and technology to the community regardless. We like to remain agnostic as the founder. So for some people, Better Leap might, no pun intended, might be better than a RecruitBot, or a Gem might be better than an Ashby. And we remain agnostic to that because we have recruiters in the community of all different sizes, stages, budgets, user experiences, etc. So what we don't want in a partner is someone that purely wants to sponsor one sort of event or experience and doesn't want to necessarily continue on as a partner. We aren't interested in just placing a brand logo somewhere. We want these partners to really consistently engage with the community. So maybe it's a TA lunch 1 month, and then the next month we're doing a webinar together. And then, the next quarter we're doing a fireside together, something where our community really gets to see and know them as a thought leader within the industry, but also a partner in the growth and support of our organization.
I really appreciate that approach. HR tech is an interesting place to be, and there's so many similar products that can solve for solutions in similar ways. I'm a more the merrier kind of guy. I think like a healthy dose of capitalism and competition brings out the best in product. So it's really cool to hear you glean those insights, as I'm sure those the Circle channels and community data is helpful for finding the right size solution for the use case of the practitioner who might be signed up.
Yep.
I actually got logged on and signed up with Better Leap in the last week to do a little bit of outbound sourcing. So appreciate the shout out to Colin and Anna.
Yes.
I've used some Gem in the past too. Love me some Gem. Shout out to Steve and the crew. I think like at the end of the day, when I think about product, maybe this isn't exclusive to millennial and Gen Z buyers, but like I want to pay my friends for the cool products they're building. And at the end of the day, it's more than just a logo or more than just a check. And it's cool to hear your philosophy for a mission and values community approach, not only to the resources you've built, but for how you're allocating resources from a financial perspective. And of course, you've named some of the best in the biz.
Yeah. And you make a good point. The struggle that we have now is we've become such great friends with our partners. So it's almost like, oh, well, who do we go to suggest this next event? Because they're all great. They're all fantastic as, people and as businesses. But we have to, again, remain agnostic in terms of what's going to be the right product for that audience in particular, for whatever that event or experience is. But yeah, they've all become great friends, and there's some really good products on the market right now. I'd have to agree.
How do you think about learning new tools, meeting founders, learning about what's bleeding edge for recruiters? Because obviously your background is in recruiting, but now you're so focused on building the community. How do you keep your chops up?
Ooh. Well, through Talent Refinery, myself and Krista, my other co-founder with Talent Collective, we like to still operate fractionally so that we are still in the game. We're still running recs. We're still staying fresh and up to date. And so even in a case like this, we have very specific tools that we use because was within our budget or precisely what we needed at this stage right now. So we get in it. We roll our sleeves up. That's how we stay fresh.
That's awesome.
And relevant. We got to stay relevant.
It's so true. You mentioned fractional. What's fractional to you?
Oh gosh.
How do you define it?
I'm either going to get like darts thrown at me, or I'm going to get people clapping their hands. Some people like my definition and some people don't. Fractional to me, what it means for my lifestyle is one in which I can support a portfolio of companies, similarly like I did in agency days, except I am not a contingent, I'm going to work for you for free, I'm going to throw resumes / spaghetti at the wall and hope one sticks. I want to have 2 to 3 clients at a time where I am your dedicated partner. I'm supporting you on an interim basis to fill a void or a gap on your team. or I'm your ongoing part-time fractional solution, and you literally pay me at a fractional of the cost. And you don't have to pay my employment tax, my healthcare. You may or may not build in a bonus or equity, but I am not on paper as a full-time permanent employee, but I am supporting your organization as if you didn't know any different. The word interim is where some people get a little, so to each his own.
I love that. I think it's a great definition. It's certainly taken shape in our vernacular, some out of necessity through layoffs. Some folks have been doing fractional since before fractional was a term. At the end of the day, it really just comes down to what does the employee want? What does the business need? And meeting in the middle. I think in the future of work, we don't have to have such rigid structures. And in my opinion, with fractional, it's no longer reserved for maybe 25, 30-year veterans of a specific industry that call themselves consultants. I think like consultants is kind of like that victory lap, make some money, leverage your network on your way to retirement. And historically, that's how people have augmented teams. The way teams are being augmented in startups in this fractional capacity is something that I think has the opportunity to really deliver more efficiency to an organization, but also from a people perspective is potentially a more ethical and sustainable path forward to hiring through so much market volatility. If you're a CPO, you may be working with a founder who is maybe an early career founder. They have milestones to hit. They're hitting crucible moments. They have investors to answer to and achieve their revenue goals. Sometimes looking down the spreadsheet at a headcount plan of W-2 can be very intimidating for a CPO that may feel that strong sense of empathy if they've navigated 2 or 3 layoffs and they don't want to have to do that again. I think if I'm working with a founder, or if I'm talking with a CPO or a team, like let's take 10 to 20% of that headcount plan for the year and just tuck it aside as these are going to be 1099 contractors. And here are a few different levels of describing what those contractors ship on from a statement of work perspective. There you build out your deliverables, and it doesn't matter if they are senior IC or if they're director VP plus. I think we've seen engineering and marketing creatives leverage contract in a way that delivers for the business and them, focusing on their specialty. And now we can see it more in G&A roles like people operations and recruiting, hopefully in sales. I think a lot of operations roles too can go the way of fractional. When I'm thinking of like customer experience operations, revenue operations, these roles that probably have a pretty clear playbook. We've talked about the vendors that we partner with. A lot of operations roles, they probably have playbook 1, 2, and 3, depending on their client. And that's a great way not to put people through the ringer. Sorry to be long-winded. What are your thoughts on that?
The word that I just keep replaying in my head is volatility. Number one, I would much rather be hired as a fractional TA leader, fractional recruiter, whatever you want to call me, and support you for maybe 6 to 8 months. And then we come to the conclusion that I've done my job and we're going to part ways now. I would much rather have that than be laid off for a third time in 3 years. After I've just made a shift in my career, it impacted my family, it impacted my income, my whole livelihood. I would much rather diversify my income with a couple of different companies than to be a full-time employee at the mercy of one company. So that's one thing. That's me personally. Number two, I love seeing this shift of recruiters becoming more firm strategic partners with companies now, instead of the days where it was, okay, you have this workforce plan and I'm going to hit those milestones. I'm going to get the butts in the seat. And it's just, yes, I'll do it. And it very much became transactional, and you're meeting the deadlines and KPIs, but then the layoffs happen. I think recruiters are so sensitive to this now that not only has it impacted them being laid off, but they've just seen so many people that they've placed in roles over the past 5 years be laid off and laid off and laid off. And we just don't want, like, no human wants to be a part of that. So it's really cool seeing recruiters taking a more firm stance on, we're not always going to say yes. We're actually going to say, hold on, or what if, or let's take another look at this. And so coming in with more of a pause when we're working with founders versus just jumping in with 2 feet. So really to help protect the business and any future candidates that they're going to bring to that organization.
Yeah. Amen. I am like all for the advancement of more strategic recruiting professionals, call them TA managers, talent partners, heads of talent, recruiter, like whatever. To me, like being a startup guy, I think like in my 20s, the mantra was like, what is it? Don't trust anyone over 30. And now it's like, don't trust a recruiting leader who doesn't work a rec.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good one.
Just because like, I think like there's an element of recruiting that is a little bit different from other areas of the business because there are so many variable inputs outside of the control of the recruiter that's making a placement. There are market conditions, there are competitive offers, there's obviously timing. I think timing on both the candidate and the recruiter side has really changed in the last year and a half. And recruiters can't be accountable for everything. We can no longer just be the scapegoat. And for so long, it was really easy for business groups to just point the fingers at recruiting and say, well, it was recruiting's fault that this person had regrettable attrition, or it was the recruiter's fault that, XYZ happened. So to me, I'm all about empowering recruiters to be more strategic, to be able to level up in the org and to act as a superpowered IC, player coach, lead a team. But I think if you're leading a team, really listening to the tactical practitioners who are maybe managing the coordination of interviews, creating pipelines for sourcing, or conducting those first round screens and working with hiring managers.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, in terms of the community, I see community as a way to learn those skills quickly, have more forum for dialogue, have more examples of shared learning and kind of open sourcing that pathway to knowledge. The unfortunate part is, because there have been so many companies on hiring sprees in the last few years, there are a lot of recruiters that are going to get out of recruiting. They're not going to be those strategic operators and thinkers. I think that's like a healthy culling of the industry if the industry is going to rise above the adversity we are in now and the adversity that's coming for us, which is the complete automation of recruiting as a function through artificial intelligence.
Yes. You bring up a good point. We have a couple of members who recently have made the shift to CSM or sales roles. One of our founding members in Denver, she just made the move to a CSM role at Findem. And it's just brilliant because these recruiting technology, HR tech companies leveraging the expertise that recruiters have of like, I sat in this seat doing this stuff manually for so many years. Who better than to come in and support your customers with this tool that you're building to support with automation and more efficiencies. So I think that's the coolest thing that I'm seeing right now. Even sales roles, right? Or partnerships roles at recruiting tech companies, like recruiters know so much about that job, the day in the life. And so I highly recommend all recruiting tech companies only hire recruiters for all your major functions, all your major go-to-market functions.
It's so true. And it makes me just go back to like, what is the role of hiring in the first place? It's just part of business operations. Like I'm a big believer that human resources department, the org chart of recruiting doesn't have a monopoly on hiring.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we have best practices and we have some great experience in industry resources. But I think to say we own hiring as a function is diluting ourselves. Like at the end of the day, hiring starts when somebody needs to bring somebody else on to do more work, and it's the operations part of a business. So I think if we can diversify our skill sets, I think about it as like building a pie-shaped skill set or a comb-shaped skill set. And this is one of those times where I think recruiters in the midst of adversity can find those business groups, learn to leverage their skills, really practice their pitches on how their own unique exposure to the business as a recruiter can empower the go-to-market function of a company if they have tremendous domain knowledge. And the beauty of that is we're in this moment where there's a lot of HR tech companies that are consolidating, but also growing. And we're seeing the expansion of nice to have tech companies build need to have products, which goes back to that healthy competition to disrupt the space. There's no major like category killer in the ATS space the way there is on, say, CRM. It's like Salesforce versus HubSpot and a few others chipping away at that. I think even Workday only has 20 to 30% market cap as one of the largest.
I remember that.
So to me, that's like, yeah, let's get more venture capital into the hands of HR practitioners, and let's get more capital into founders like you building intentional spaces, building product, building community. Is there a product element? Like, do you see this scaling? Like, what would you do with funding or engineering resources? Is that on your roadmap?
It's on our blue sky, like in the clouds. Some ideas that would be really cool is one of two things that I'll just speak for myself. I won't speak for my co-founders. One would be really having Talent Collective become the LinkedIn for recruiters in particular. So if you are looking to hire a recruiter, you're not going to go and spend time on LinkedIn and go through that whole process. You're just going to come to Talent Collective. You're going to post your job in our job board, which we already have. And you're going to have, 100, 200, 300 different specific recruiters available to tap into as resources. So that's one thing. The other is I could see our community really evolving and being acquired by an ATS or a CRM, recruiting, I'll just say HR tech company in general, who has aspirations of creating a community, but doesn't want to start from scratch, right? Take the community with you.
Yep.
That could be really cool. Or even, folding us in, acquiring us at a certain stage where we stay with the business and we continue to grow it and evolve it. There's so much more that we can be doing. But we always want to keep that element of Talent Collective being partially event-based, partially virtual experiences, partially personal development, and partially professional development with the mentorship and whatnot. So there's so much more. I just don't know what direction it's going to take.
It's so exciting. As you think about growth, obviously it started as a community that is for individuals who identify as women. I saw a picture of Paz at the event in New York, which I was excited about. Another recruiter dude out there. I identify as a man. Like how can folks from different demographics get involved? Is there space for inclusion, intersectionality? How do you think about that as you intentionally build a niche community that inherently starts demographic based?
Well, the question we get all the time is, why is it just women? We just debated in the beginning, men, women, well, there really isn't any other community like this that is just for women, so let's just start there. It wasn't out of the necessity of like, no men allowed, It was, well, all other communities that we know that are similar to us are multi-gender, so let's just start with this one and see how it evolves. And what it has evolved to is there are equal amounts personal development needs of our members that are just coming to fruition as women, as mothers, working mothers, as, women executives, things that we need to address from a personal perspective, but then naturally there's all the professional development pieces as them being in the recruiting function as a practitioner. So we are now kind of evolving this community to be both personal and professional development. But we do love our allies. Specifically, male allies get involved predominantly as brand ambassadors, such as yourself. They are speakers on our panels. They are partners, sponsors. Actually, most of our recruiting tech partners are male founded. So we do have equal love for them, and they have love for us, and they're supporting us in our vision. Or they're facilitating workshops for us or partner webinars. So they're still bringing a lot of thought leadership and expertise to the community. So we're still getting to benefit from their education, their innovation, their support, and their brand ambassadorship.
That's fantastic. Thank you for outlining how we can be allies, help the community grow, support your journey. What's next? I see every time I log in on LinkedIn, you're somewhere new, working with a new partner, seeing some friends I know, or new connections. So what does the next few months have in store for you?
We'd go on vacation and come visit you. No, I'm just kidding. We could have met you in Denver. Such a bummer. What is next? So we have Austin and then Chicago. We're taking a little bit of a pause for the summer. We'll just kind of focus on building up at that point, it'll be 10 cities. So we'll pour a little bit of love and strategic thought time into those 10 cities throughout the summer. And then we're going to Breakfast.
Awesome.
In September. So that'll be a big, exciting thing. And then we have potentially 2 other cities on the roadmap for the fall. I won't name the names yet because we got to make sure that they're a done deal. But that's pretty much our focus for the second half of the year is member engagement, member recruitment, and Breakfast coming up.
Awesome. I can't wait for Wreckfest 2.0 in the US. Amazing event, super fun. Nashville's a cool city. So excited to see you there.
Yes.
That's a lot on your plate. Where do you get your energy from? How do you find balance as a founder? What's your secret?
That's a good question. As they say, as cliche as it doesn't feel like work and it's not draining when you love what you're doing. I do not log on. I specifically get up every day at 4:30 because I want to get awake before my toddler, my 4-year-old, and get some work done. So I like to get 2 or 3 hours of my work done very early in the morning when it's quiet and really good thought time, strategic time. But none of it feels like I'm logging on each day and I have to do this job. It's, oh my gosh, I can't wait to reach out to so-and-so or have a call with this prospective partner. When you love what you're doing, it just comes natural and you're just naturally inspired and invigorated. So the energy just comes from the passion, I guess. I don't have a good answer for it, but it's my reality.
That is the best answer ever. I couldn't think of anything better for somebody who's looking to build something. It's certainly why I recruit. There are a lot of ways to make a living. What better way to spend a day than talking to inspiring people like yourself, Natalie?
Thank you. You as well.
Well, thank you. How can people stay in touch, and where should they go to follow you and what the Talent Collective is up to?
I am very, very active on LinkedIn. So if you DM me, I'm likely to respond very, very quickly. Also follow our Talent Collective LinkedIn page. We post all of our upcoming events there. So it's the best way to kind of keep a pulse on all the webinars, the virtual and in-person stuff. Of course, go to our website if you want more information about the membership and just the community at large, which is talentcollectiveco.com. And then lastly, I'd say subscribe to our Luma events channel because you'll also get a pulse of all of our city events there.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining on the podcast today. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Tune in for more conversations with top people and talent leaders where we empower the candidate-employer relationship in the future of work. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning into the Rebel TA podcast. If you're in the HR and talent space and you're looking for an HR conference to attend in 2024, I'm here to tell you that RecFest is the world's largest talent acquisition conference. So check it out. Jamie Leonard and the crew over at RecFest have been putting on this conference in the UK, and they're back in Nashville, Tennessee on September 12th and 13th this year for an incredible 2-day event. It's a beautiful time of year to be in Nashville, connect with other TA friends. I had a blast last year on stage and had a wonderful time connecting with amazing people in the talent space. You've got to be there if you're planning an offsite, if you're trying to get the team together, you're looking for professional development. It is a not miss conference. Tickets are on sale now and moving fast. I'll see you out there. I just booked my hotel and I can't wait to be back in Nashville.